You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about Jiu-Jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a blue belt who trains at Pure MMA located in Rockaway, New Jersey. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Brescher.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, of course. How was your day today?
It was good. I just got back from training.
Awesome.
So, which is always fun.
Always fun. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and take that trip. Let's learn about your jiu-jitsu journey.
My jiu-jitsu journey. So, I never grew up doing martial arts or sports or anything like that. When I was 31, I happened to start doing Krav Maga, and I did that for a couple years. And as I got more into it, it borrows elements from different sports disciplines, combat sports disciplines, martial arts, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I got into the advanced classes and they started doing groundwork, I was just so uncomfortable with it. I had never, been in an environment like that. As a woman, it's very disconcerting to be on your back with somebody on top of you like that and in that environment. So I started doing jiu-jitsu really to kind of help myself get over that hurdle in Krav Maga. And what I ended up doing actually was just falling in love with jiu-jitsu. Just the elegance of it, the sport aspect of it, the art of it and everything there. And so I started maybe 4 or 5 years ago, doing more and more jiu-jitsu, and I just kind of kept at it and ended up earning my blue belt, and I'm still training, to this day and working on my jits.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everyone's you can still work on your jits even as an upper belt. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm saying, like, I'm still continuing this journey. It's one that I didn't expect to be on. And I ended up here, and it's been a great journey. I joke with my kids. You should always have a hobby that you suck at, right? And what I mean by that is, I'm not athletically gifted.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will walk onto the mats and, like, they have the bodily awareness, they have the athleticism, they have whatever. I'm almost 40. I don't have like any kind of natural talent. Athletically, I have to work really, really hard for like anything that I have in jiu-jitsu. It doesn't come easily, which means I have to kind of rededicate myself every single time walking onto the mat. Even when I'm excited about it, it's still difficult, every single time. And I think that's good for people.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, I definitely totally agree. Like, even I've been training for 5 years, and at the school that I'm currently at, I've seen people, come and go, and we have like a couple white belts that just started maybe like a month ago. And I'm like, man, I wish I had like half of your like awareness and drive and like attentiveness, like when I started training, because these dudes are like, they're haven't trained before. This is like literally their first martial art, but the way they're grasping everything is just like, oh man, give you guys a couple more months, you're gonna be like monsters. Oh, yeah. But yeah,
well, it's always, again, like you have, these high school wrestlers that come in. They're 18. They're like less than half my age. They're very athletic already, and they just soak it up like a sponge. And it's like, that's just incredible.
Yeah,
my joints are not going to do that anymore, and that's okay. I one of the things jiu-jitsu has done for me is give me perspective and really a different kind of confidence. And that is to be on the mats and be like, you know what? I'm not 18. I am not, a D1 wrestler. I am never going to be that. I have the body that I have the joints that I have, the muscles that I have, and I can work with it because this is still my journey, and I need to learn how to make my jiu-jitsu my own. And, you can't compare it. You can't compare your journey. You can't compare your body. You can't do anything but make what you have work for you.
Definitely.
And it's given me a lot more like that realization has made me more confident kind of in my body, it's tough. A lot of women struggle with like body issues and like
Mm-hmm.
how they see themselves and everything. And nothing has made me more comfortable in my skin than jiu-jitsu has.
That's awesome.
Just simply being able to see, like, it doesn't matter what size I am, I totally armbarred that guy.
Right.
you know
Right.
like I totally, like, my body just did something really really cool, and it has no, like, my size has nothing to do with it. I'm just, this is an art that I can dedicate myself to and work on it regardless.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's definitely, it's definitely a confidence booster. Um just to be able to like train, and you see yourself progress and you grow, and it's like, I don't know, you just get like a different type of like light about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I'm older, but I can still destroy everyone on the mat. Not necessarily saying you can, but you get that confidence, like, yeah,
Right.
I can take that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Definitely. Like
um,
I'm another part of the confidence that I have had to have, though, is, I'm a hobbyist.
mhm.
Right? I do this when I can. I have a full-time job. I'm a single mom, 2 kids. I'm working on my doctorate,
Oh, wow.
and I'm doing all of this. And so again, when I go into the gym, it's my journey. I'm on the mat. This is for me. I can't compare. When people fly past me, with their promotions and everything, it's like, you know what? This is still my game. This is still mine. I
Mhm.
need to, I go when I can, and that's okay.
And what's funny, like, me and another guest was talking about, people who do jiu-jitsu. You have the people that does it to get in shape, or the
Mm-hmm.
hobbyist, or like the real competitive people. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoy people who look at jiu-jitsu, as a, being a hobbyist, because those are the type of people I love to work with and roll with, because you can sit down and you can break down techniques, and even though they're not necessarily like in tune and inclined to like these techniques, they're still willing to learn it, and they're still willing to like help you break it down, even for even if it's for somebody else. But yeah, I love that. I love that. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna walk onto the mat. I'm gonna try and make me better. If people need a sparring partner, I'm perfectly happy to be there for them. Make everyone better on the mats.
oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. And I mean, that's like, it's encouraging to have people like that. Like, if you have someone that's going to like help you get your game, help your game get better, help you understand stuff a lot better. It like jujitsu actually opens up a whole lot more than you just getting steamrolled, or you don't get a chance to break down like today's lessons and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely fun. It's definitely exciting to have people who like, yeah, I just love it because I love it. And not take anything from the competitors or anybody
No,
else, but
there.
like
Yeah.
hobbyists are awesome because it's
I get a little bit jealous of the competitors, though. You walk in and you see people that are training 2 to 3 times a day, and it was really hard for me in the beginning because I'd be like, oh, so and so started only 2 years ago, and she's already kicking my ass. And my professor had to say to me, he goes, Jess, you don't do this enough to get your self worth from it. And
mm-hmm.
like that seems really harsh, but at the same time, like, no, it's a perspective. This is what it is for me. It's important to me,
Mm-hmm.
but it has its place in my life, and that's okay.
Right.
like i like I said, jiu-jitsu has taught me a lot of perspective about what my values are, what are my priorities, how can I fit things into my life kind of appropriately and make them all work. And yeah, I don't know how a sport or a martial art has changed so many different facets of my life, between time management, prioritizing things in my life, like I was talking about body image, like so many of these things. My perspective has really shifted in life because of jiu-jitsu and just the principles and just the way that I've had to work my jiu-jitsu has had to apply itself to the rest of my life. I'm not sure if that makes any sense.
Oh, that makes 100% like sense to me. Cause like, yeah, I apply like my principles and everything that I learn on the mats in everyday life. That's the only way I'm able to handle stuff. Cause without it, I'll probably be like, yeah, I don't know, I probably would have lost my mind by now if I wasn't training as much as I do. Like, no, not no way, no way, no how. So, so is this like your only gym that you've trained at? I know you said you trained Krav Maga, but like for jujitsu, is this like your only gym you've trained at?
Yes, it is.
Now
You
is
know,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, when I travel, I like to find, a local gym and do drop-in classes. It's been more difficult, with the pandemic recently.
Yep.
Before then, my parents live in Syracuse, New York, so whenever I would go visit them, I would stop in a local gym there.
So now do so you being you being a parent, do your kids train too?
I tried so hard. No, they like karate and they like swimming.
Ah,
And so, and they had to pick one because there are only so many hours in the day, and mommy is
right.
tired. So, they picked swimming. I did try though. So I had them, when they were little, I had them do some Krav Maga classes. They weren't interested. They did one jujitsu class. Both of them were not about it. One of them liked karate, and we did that for a while before the pandemic. And
Mhm.
so, I'd really like them to. Obviously, I think it teaches a lot of good things. Um, between just the discipline and also the athleticism. The working hard at something, working towards a goal, and just everything about it. But maybe someday they'll get into it. I'm not trying to push them.
Just a little bit. Just push a little bit.
Push a little bit,
just
yeah.
just push a little bit.
Push.
Now, but to kind of go back a little bit, what you were saying earlier about just the flow of jujitsu, like the it's almost like music when you see when you see people roll, because on the outside it looks so barbaric because you got people just grabbing and throwing and twisting and turning and everything else,
Yeah,
but
but if you can see what they're doing,
yeah.
it's kind of like there are exchanges, there are energy exchanges back and forth, and when you can really, if you when you understand what they're doing, it looks barbaric at first, but then you
Mm-hmm.
can see the elegance of it. I think, and that's something that I have really kind of enjoyed. Um, like it's what is it? It's the gentle art,
Yeah,
the gentle art
it's
of
gentle
choking the
art.
shit out of people.
As aggressive as it looks, it's
Yes,
called the gentle art.
yes.
That's hilarious.
Well, and but that's something that I really enjoy about it is that um, you can roll hard
Mm-hmm.
without being brutal.
Yeah.
So in Krav Maga, when we spar, we do striking, we do whatever, and like I'm not very good, so I get punched in the face a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I get submitted a lot in jujitsu when I roll, but I feel like you can go harder without being brutal and walking away with like feeling like you aren't going to be able to walk in the morning.
But that's the
Oh,
best
that
feeling in the
does happen
world.
once in a while. What was that?
I said that's the best feeling in the world.
When you can't walk in the morning? Yeah,
Yeah.
once in a while.
Yeah. Like, we do like, our school, we do open mats, and our school are predominantly like big dudes. We're a smash style school. So, when we have those Sundays when we're just like, it's 5 6 of us on the mats, we're rolling 3 minutes at a time, and we're just
Yeah.
like switching and switching and switching. And it's like, you can feel your body like, okay, this is gonna hurt in the morning. I know my back
Oh
is gonna
yeah.
be on fire, my elbow, my wrist, my knees, but it's no greater feeling than that pain from doing jujitsu.
I do agree. When we have open mats, absolutely, you kind of prepare for that. But for your weekly training, for someone like me, I I have to be able to walk in the morning. you know. No, for training, I can roll hard in training and still get up and have. Again, I'm a hobbyist. I'm not a competitor. I would expect that, if I'm doing high level training for things,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it's going to be. For general training, you can roll hard, you can get a really great workout in, and your shoulders may not ever be the same again. And then you have your times where it's an open mat and you go hard. We there are a couple gyms in the area that they're all linked. All the black belts came from the same lineage.
Okay.
And so we all the gyms all get together for the open mats. And there are girls who are competitors, and let me tell you, they beat me up harder than any of the dudes ever could. Like, they just go.
Yeah.
And you feel brutalized afterwards, but in like the best way.
Like I've definitely met some like savage women practitioners, and it's so cool to see, like, women just dominate in a sport like this. But yeah, I'm definitely excited about I have another guest that's coming up. I think it's like a week or so, and she competes a lot, like a lot. And I'm like, oh, I cannot wait to see, like, to find to listen to her mindset on how she prepares for that stuff. But it's definitely pretty cool. Now,
and I have to say, I love that there is room in this sport for someone like her, but then also someone like me, and someone like you, who's like, yes, I don't want to walk in the morning, and then, like, but it's all, there's the same commonality. There's a place for every type of practitioner.
Yes.
There's a place, and like, and everyone is, I mean, I don't know what it's like at every gym, but I know that everyone, at my academy, everyone who's on the mats is on the mats, and we're all together. We're all in this together, type of thing. And so there's no kind of like, there are no cliques, like, oh, you can't roll with them because they're the competitors and they're whatever. Like, you can walk up to anyone and say, hey, do you want to roll? And they'll roll with you. And so it's very collegial, and like, it's kind of just understood. There's a place and a time for everyone, and we're all doing jiu-jitsu. We're all in this because we love it. So,
oh yeah,
there's a place for everyone.
Yeah, and that's at my school too. We're majority, like, I think we only got, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 white belts, if I'm not mistaken, and then we have like about 4 blue belts, 2 purple belts, and then it's me and the other guy who's brown belt, and then we have our instructor who's a black belt. So a lot of we are like up there in ranks, but yeah, everyone rolls with everybody. Like, it's not even like a, hey, you want to roll? Like, no, we just grab a body and just start going at it.
So my academy is quite large. We'll easily have like 30 to 50 students per class.
Oh my goodness.
So you can be a little bit pickier. And it's and it's interesting. In some classes we'll have half the class is white belts, but we'll still have 3 or 4 black belts on the mat. In the school, I think we have to have about 7 or 8 black belts in the school. And so, again, as a white belt, I could walk up to any one of them and roll with them. And it was just very, it was, again, very collegial. We have a lot of purple belts. We have a lot of blue belts. So, when it comes to rolling, you do kind of have a selection. And I know that, like, I tend to roll with people who are higher belts than I am. I roll with the people I prefer to roll with, like, the people I know the best are purple belts, and they kick my ass, as they should. But I know that, like, there's a trust there because I know them.
Right. So I'm, we were explaining, my school is small. I'm not, a big fan of like big crowds. So, like, was it intimidating going to like classes that size, like 20, 30 people on the mats at once?
So the those are the evening classes. The lunchtime classes are much smaller. So I started with the lunchtime classes and I got to know a core group of people. So there may be 15 people
Mm-hmm.
at the noon classes. And so it made it a lot easier. It's a huge space. It's like a warehouse with mats in it. So it doesn't feel like there are that many people until like everyone lines up and you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of people here.
Uh,
Um, the guys who own the school, so Mike and Andy Main, are just kind of the nicest people ever. Like
mm-hmm.
you wouldn't know that they owned the academy if you just walked in because they're just like on the mats and talking to everyone else and like they remember your name and it's a very close knit group of people who are also just very welcoming and it's leave your ego at the door type of thing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm really grateful for my academy and the atmosphere there. But yeah, I started off with the smaller classes, and the first couple of times I came to the big classes, especially after the pandemic, I was like, nope, nope, I can't. I'm not around this many people. I can't do this. Um, but yeah, knowing it, and the 6:30 a.m. classes are even smaller. So
Yeah, we used to do 6:30 classes, man. I'm really starting to miss those 6:30 classes because it was a little bit of like an advanced class. Like we'll kind of like break down even more techniques. Well, the techniques that we did the night before, we were like go into like fine detail, and it was usually be like maybe 2 or 3 of us, but at one point it was just me and the instructor showing up in the mornings.
oh
So it was like, and at one point, one of my training partners loved this guy like my brother. I learned a lot under, when I was coming up learning from him, and then I couldn't make it to like evening classes, and I started doing the morning classes. And then by the time I came back and rode with him during the evening, he was like, "Yeah, you've been doing something different." And I was like, "Oh, because I've been doing the morning classes." He's like, "I got you." But
yeah.
But yeah, man, those morning classes used to be so fun because it's obviously it's more jujitsu, more training, but like yeah, it's a little bit slower because we're going through everything with a fine tooth comb, so we don't have to break down like the basics of the technique. We could just go, hey, this remember what was working last night? Let's go to that position and let's work from there.
And there are advantages definitely because and
Mm-hmm.
when there are smaller classes, if everyone's getting something really quickly, you can move on faster in a smaller class. Like, there's a disadvantage I think to some of these huge classes in that the professor doesn't always get around to everybody. Like, there are more they're trade offs, so there are more upper level belts who can help people doing the drilling, and then there's a lot more variety when you're rolling. But you don't get that kind of FaceTime with the professor and kind of that deep dive that you can get with the smaller classes. And that's why the 6:30 classes and the noon classes, sometimes you can get into the nitty gritty when you have that smaller class size.
Yeah. Cause I talk to a lot of I've been talking to a lot of people, and especially in these jujitsu groups that's on Facebook, and they be like, I've been training for X amount of time, I haven't got striped, I haven't got promoted, and I'm like, we're asking like, what's going on at the school? Have you talked to the teacher? Have you talked to the instructor? Like, what resolution have you came up with? And then they're like, yeah, it's such a big school. We have like 30, 40 people on the mat, at all times. I'm like, those I know people who can get promoted and ranked in big schools. I like, it's not taken away from small schools because I'm from a small school too, but you really have to bust your butt to get that notice from your upper from the upper belts to be like, oh, okay, this person actually advancing, they're showing that they know this stuff. So yeah, I to me, I feel like that's would be a big challenge for me personally, being at a big school like that.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I never really thought about it like that. I know that they do keep track of attendance, and like when you hit, like they're like, hey, this person's been here a lot. Let's watch them the next time they roll and like see where they are. Or like once in a while, you'll have one of the professors be like, hey, I got next roll with you, and you're like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, you know. But they do take the time. They do try to assess people. I think they recognize, it's a big environment and they need to keep track of people. I mean, I don't get promoted very easily. I haven't gotten a stripe in a while, but then I also know, I haven't been able to be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to let me think how to say this. There are so many people who are like, well, you shouldn't, care about the belt, the mat will tell the truth.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Like,
yeah.
And that's true to an extent. I also know that having never done any kind of like sport or martial art or anything before, Krav Maga or Jiu-Jitsu, I'd never gotten a belt in anything, or I'd never gotten a trophy or like any kind of recognition. So the idea of getting a belt and stripes was just so new and exciting to me, even in my 30s. I was like, I got a stripe. Like, this is the coolest thing in the world. There is something nice to knowing that you are improving.
Mm-hmm.
Because there comes a point in your journey where you're just grinding.
Yeah.
And you go week after week after month, and everyone around you is improving as well, so you feel like you're stuck. You can't tell if you're getting any better.
Right.
And I think that in those cases, the promotion, it's more of a shot in the arm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the mat will always tell the truth.
Right.
And on any given day, you do well or you do poorly when you're rolling. That has no bearing on your rank. But I don't know. I haven't gotten a stripe in a really long time, but I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
I asked my professor one time, like, what do I need to work on to get my next stripe? And he's like, you shouldn't be looking to get your next stripe. You should be training to get your purple belt. And, the stripes are, irrelevant. They'll come if you keep training for your purple belt.
Yeah. And I mean, I can, agree with you on that one too, where, like especially being an adult, it's not like, you get a lot of participation or like awards or anything like that, because all we do is work. So it's like, yeah, you're in this class and then, you get that first stripe on your white belt and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing something right. And then
go to Instagram.
Like exactly. I was like, when I first started training, I started getting stripes. I was taking like pictures, like Instagram was flooded. I'm like, I'm a 2-stripe blue belt, but I'm a monster, But like after a while, I think probably by mid blue belt, I was kind of like, you know what? I just want to train. Like, I don't care about stripes. I don't care about belt color. I'm just happy that I'm able to train. And I think once I got into that mindset, that's when like jiu-jitsu really, really started to pick up.
Yeah.
Because, Chris Harder said, like, a belt only covers so much of your ass. You have to cover the rest. And it's true, because and I mean, a belt is not going to necessarily say that you're better than me or I'm better than you. Like, no, we're going to get on this floor, we're going to roll around, and we're going to show who's better. So I think once a lot of people who have started their journey or going to start their journey, hopefully people who listen to this that's in the New Jersey area, I have someone you can talk to about, joining an awesome school. But like, just do it for the love of it, fall in love with the sport. And like your instructor said, my instructor said this a lot too. Just keep training, be consistent, work hard, and the belt will change. The colors will change.
Just keep showing up.
Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up.
Keep showing up. Like, I was doing this to get better at something else. This was my cross training, and then all of a sudden I got a stripe on my white belt. I'm like, oh my God, you can get stripes.
Yeah.
And then I kept going. I'm like, I got a second stripe, and then I suddenly, like, I was joking with my professor. I accidentally got a blue belt, and it's because I just kept showing up.
She's like, I accidentally got a blue belt. Like, I think you dropped this.
He's like, you're like a jiu-jitsu person now. You have a blue belt. Like, you like, you're a practitioner, right? Like, it took me a while to think of myself that way. I was like, oh, I'm just cross training. Oh, I'm not really, this is just, whatever. It's like, no, I belong here.
But the funny thing about it, that I've realized, even I recently became a brown belt. I it haven't yet hit me that I'm a brown belt. Like I still feel like honestly, I still feel like I'm like mid blue still, because that's when like I think like mid blue and like some of purple was like the hardest time for me training wise, and I'm still sometimes feel like I'm still stuck in that mindset.
Oh, there are days we did it was open mat recently, and I had such a bad roll. I
Mhm.
mean, it was catastrophic. Like I was doing like first day on the mat type mistakes
Yeah.
in this one roll, and I was getting frustrated. And the guy was like, "Oh, you're doing just fine. How long have you been training?" I'm like, "Long enough that I'm embarrassed to answer that question." And like, there are rolls, and I'm like, "Is this my first day? Have I ever been on the mat before?" Like, in my head, like there are days where I'm like, I have to remind myself, like, no, this isn't my first time in class. I don't feel like, yeah, you said you don't feel like a brown belt. I don't feel like, I know it's not that much above a white belt, but I still feel like I'm so brand new to this. I don't know anything.
Yeah. And there'll be moments where I'll still draw blanks on techniques. And it's like, man, I'll be sitting here like I know this stuff. I know this stuff. But yeah, I'll have those moments where yeah, like you said, I will have a bad roll or I have a bad moment in a class where it's like, man, I'm just like getting slaughtered. I don't remember
Yeah.
nothing. I am being, caught and tapped in the same stuff like 4 times. Like, this should
Yes.
not happen this way.
There's
But
there's
it
one girl
does.
that I roll with. There's one girl, her name is Mackenzie, and she is just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
She catches me in the same triangle 3 times a roll every time I roll with her. The same damn triangle. And I cannot for the life of me figure out how I keep my dumb ass just walking it. I'm sorry, am I allowed to swear on this thing?
You're fine. You're fine. If I have to, bleep it out, I'll bleep it out. But no, go ahead. Let it fly.
I cannot figure out how my dumb butt keeps walking into this triangle multiple times every time I roll with her.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes you got it. I don't know.
It happens. I mean, because even like last Sunday, one of my good friends, we was rolling, and I've rolled with this guy X amount of times, but he caught me in a, was it a knee bar? Nope, it was it wasn't a knee bar. No, it was a heel hook. He caught me in a heel hook I think like 2 or 3 times, and it's like, and he set it up the same way every single time, and I got so annoyed. I'm like, why do I keep giving you this? But hey, it comes. It's a part of the game.
Oh yeah, and sometimes you'll feel like, oh my god, I finally got this. Like I'm doing something right. I'm doing something right, and you just gave them the mount.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of like not one of the things I like about jujitsu necessarily, but one of the things that I find so mind blowing about it and how elegant it is just it's infinite possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like when you first get on the mat and you learn how to do something, and you're like, okay, so I can pass guard by doing this. And then you go to do it in a roll and it doesn't work. You're like, you learn all these different things. Then you're like, well, here's the counter to that. And if they counter like this, then you do this. And it just branches off. And it's like my mind is blown constantly by this sport.
Yeah. Even now, this whole time I've been training, there are still so many like techniques or tweaks to a technique that I've learned so much about, and it's like it still mind blows me, like, why haven't I noticed that? Like I like, for example, we was going over, I think it was working Kimura, and we were talking, your hand positions and the figure four and all this other stuff, and that that entry to get under their arm to to figure four your arm. People who don't know, I'm trying not to get as technical, but she knows. And I'm like, if I was to shift the arm up just a little bit, I have a lot more room to do. Oh my god, that just made the entry to the Kimura so much easier.
Oh my god, it's a game of inches, like
yes.
1 inch to the left.
Yes.
It makes a completely different thing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's cool, like when I have moments where I'm, I'll be repping with a lower belt, or my instructor showing a technique, and I can see them like analyzing it and breaking it down. Like, for example, one guy, his name is Ray. Love this guy. He's a very, very phenomenal blue belt. He rolls like he's purple. Like, the dude is very, very smart. He catches on very, very easily. And our instructor be going over a technique, and I'll be like, hey, Ray, you see what that, what he just did? Hey, if you was to just shift a little bit to the left, or you throw your leg this way, see what happens. And he'd be like, oh, okay. And then he'll do it, and he'd be like, oh my God. Like, I was like, and I'd be like, yeah.
Oh, that moment is just such it's a jiu-jitsu moment.
Yeah.
That's what my professor calls it.
Yeah.
That's a jiu-jitsu moment right there.
And it's so awesome. You can have so many in one day.
There's no limit.
It's no limit, because I'm the type of guy. I'm a lifer. I am a lifer when it comes to jiu-jitsu. Like, I eat, sleep, and breathe jiu-jitsu. Like, if I'm at home, I'm watching videos. I'm watching reels on Instagram. Me and like a couple other guys, we go over like techniques on a daily. Like, we have like so many little small groups within our class. Like me, my training partner Brian, Ray, like we're kind of like trying to be more efficient in leg locks. So it's just me, him, and me, him, and Ray in one group. All we do is talk about leg locks. And in this other group was just like a general group of everybody we train with. We'll pass stuff on. But yeah, like jiu-jitsu is so. I mean, there's so much to learn about jiu-jitsu, and obviously you never can not learn jiu-jitsu. But it's like, man, I want to soak up as much as I humanly possibly can until like my brain explode, and I still want more.
Yeah.
So.
No, I definitely get that. It's it can consume you.
Oh, it has. It can and it has. It can and it has. But because like now, my wife trains now. My daughter, she just started training, and I'm like, I want to Gracie this. I want everybody in my family to be killers.
I want to Gracie this. I love that.
Like, I want to Gracie this so bad. But I'm like, I can't imagine having 12 kids and trying to teach them all jiu-jitsu. But I'm definitely gonna take the two that I got and get them into it. One, she loves it, and my daughter, she's 2 right now. But when she gets a little bit older, I'm definitely gonna put her into jiu-jitsu.
I love watching the little kids class, the jiu-jitsu class.
Kids, I mean,
and you know what? The teenagers that we have and everything, like, they are brutal.
Mm-hmm.
When these kids all come up, you have your kids, they start at 3. By the time they're 16, they're gonna be, taking over the world. It's exciting to see the sport and seeing people coming up through the sport. And I've only been in jiu-jitsu for 5 or 6 years. But you watch videos, right, of like older fights and everything, like UFC 1.
Mm-hmm.
And you take a look and you can see like how things have changed.
Yeah.
And and everything, and how it continues to change. And with the different competitions and the way that people, the different guards and the different locks and the different submissions and different takedowns that are like new. Like, every time there's a major competition, class gets really exciting because everyone's like, okay, we saw so and so do this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's learn how he did that submission and like emulate it.
Oh,
I don't know if everyone saw that, like the buggy choke lately.
Yep.
Like the big
I was just about to say
right?
that when the buggy choke happened, I just saw so many videos of people breaking down the buggy choke in different positions.
For a while it was berimbolo. And then, like, and so it's like these things come through, and it's really kind of cool to see.
Yeah. And, just going back to you saying like UFC, the earlier days of UFC when it was no weight class, and there was like, everyone had their own discipline, and you have sumo wrestlers, you have Greco-Roman wrestlers, you have strikers, you have this, you have that, and then you have this scrawny guy.
Yes.
In what people are joking, like in a bathrobe.
Yep.
And destroy everybody.
Yeah.
Because no one knew what jiu-jitsu was. It was a very small select people that knew what jiu-jitsu was. If you wasn't Brazilian or Japanese, you really didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. And like I said, this guy comes on the mat, comes in the ring, and just destroys everybody. And they're like, "What? What is this? What is this voodoo that this guy is doing?" But it's awesome to see, back then as a just a UFC fan, seeing something like so unbelievable, and even now as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, just seeing how much it flourished from that time into now, where we have multiple schools and multiple like events that happens for jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even well, maybe because I don't follow as much, but like like other karate and Muay Thai and stuff like that, I don't necessarily see a lot of events being talked about it, unless it's like on UFC Fight Pass, of course. But I'm really loving the fact that jiu-jitsu is finally coming to the forefront of, I guess you want to say, combat sport, and I'm just excited to see where this is going to go.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Happy, hopefully that this will be my contribution to giving back to jiu-jitsu.
That's a really nice way of thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, because jiu-jitsu is you get out of it what you put into it,
Mm-hmm.
and my main goal, obviously, is to learn as much as I possibly can and teach as much as possibly can. But I want to talk about it as much as I possibly can too. So just being able to meet like the people that, I mean, I'm basically like growing a family when you really think about it, because I'm sitting here talking to someone I didn't know existed until 3 days ago, when you responded to a message like, yeah, sure, I'll join your podcast. But now you're like now you're like a cousin to me now.
Ah.
But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, you want to talk about. Definitely would love you to plug your school and your teachers and everybody else, and whatever else you want to add. But the floor is yours.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, my school is incredible. Andy Main was on UFC Fight Club, or there was like a reality show. He's in the New Jersey MMA Hall of Fame, and he is literally the nicest person you will ever meet. He runs the academy with his brother Mikey, and like, they're the type of people you walk in, they say hi, they know your name, make you feel welcome. The school is incredible. We have a lot of female students, and we have homegrown female black belts, and
Nice.
so that yes, like homegrown, and so it's really kind of incredible. And we'll have classes where I can get 2 or 3 rounds in, rolling with other women,
Mm-hmm.
Which is which is incredible. Like, I don't mind rolling with guys, and I think it makes me better, right? And to
Right.
have someone bigger and stronger to have to work with jiu-jitsu against. But it's a very different kind of game when you're actually on par with somebody physically.
Oh yeah.
And you can start, there are things that you can do, and it really work your game. And the women are just so nice. It's I don't know how else. I can't say enough good things about my academy. And I think it's the collegial, like I said, the attitude of everyone's on the mat and we're all here together. The number of women that are on the mat and very much respected and treated equally. I've traveled a lot, and I've been to different schools, and there have been some schools where I mean, unfortunately, I haven't felt as welcomed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's because I was the only woman on the mat, and it was kind of like, oh, I got stuck with drilling or working or whatever with her, type of thing. And again, it could just be that, like, I was a new student, I was somebody that they didn't know, but it was a little awkward. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, because, like, until you've been there, unless you've experienced it, like, people are like, well, are you sure it wasn't because of whatever? I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure. Like, if you're in a class of however many people and there are no female students, you kind of get that feeling.
Yeah, you become the delicate flower at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's a female on the mat. Be gentle.
Yeah, I don't want to work with her. Like, yeah, I don't know. And so I try really hard. But sorry, I feel like I'm babbling now.
Oh no, it's
a long
fine.
day.
It's totally fine. It's totally
Um,
fine.
So I'm hoping that any of your female listeners out there, other women that are listening, they'll know what I mean when I say, we have a lot of women on the mat. They'll know what I'm saying here.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's just a really great environment to grow in. I've been working. So back when I was doing Krav Maga, we had a jiu-jitsu instructor there. He also is at Pure. His name is Joe Campisi, and he is just I've taken private lessons with him, and he's kept me going when I didn't think I could. So I know that rolling and everything is where you really get better. And but I've been taking private lessons mostly because my schedule is so hectic that I can't always make it to training as much as I would like.
Yeah.
So I have that, once a week, sometimes twice a week private lesson to really kind of keep me at least doing jiu-jitsu.
Right.
And, he's the one who told me, I mentioned earlier, Jess, you don't do this enough to get your self-worth from it. But he's also like really given me a lot of perspective on jiu-jitsu in terms of like life and everything else like that. So I don't know if he's going to listen to this, but shout out to Joe if he does.
Oh yeah. I mean, he has no choice. Because we're gonna blast this. Like we're just I'm gonna send you the recording and just play it on the loudspeaker. Like, nope, we're gonna get a big Bluetooth speaker. We're gonna listen to this podcast together. So, but no,
I feel really blessed. I feel very lucky that we have such a really great jiu-jitsu community, and locally, at my academy and the people that I know, but I also feel lucky and blessed. I think that the jiu-jitsu community at large, like I was saying earlier, there's a place for everybody.
It is.
There really is a place for everyone. There's a place for you who's, eats, sleeps, breathes jiu-jitsu. And, there's a place for, someone who is casually just making their way, struggling on the struggle bus, casually making their way through the belts and doing what they can, but has also the love of the sport.
Yeah. It's like she said, it's definitely for everyone. The enthusiast down to like the hobbyist or the person who just want to just literally do, get out the house and do something. You can definitely get a lot out of jiu-jitsu if you just give it a chance.
Definitely. Yeah.
Sounds good. But yeah, that's the end of today's episode. I would like to, thank Jessica again for coming in and sharing her experience. I hope people who are listening, that that you've been having to finally join jiu-jitsu as if, being a female or being someone smaller. Like we said, it's for everybody. So just give it a shot. But yeah, please go and follow our Facebook and Instagram page to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live jiu-jitsu. Have a great day.